In today's video, I'm going to show you the worst etiquette mistakes people make when they go to visit others. Maybe, in fact, you even make some of these mistakes and don't even realize it. Is everything okay? I'm Juliana Santiago, a teacher and etiquette consultant, co-founder of Institute of Etiquette and Protocol, the Institute of Etiquette and Protocol. And in today's video, we're going to talk a little more about mistakes you make when you go visit someone, go to someone's house, go to a dinner, a meeting. And these are common mistakes that often happen and you don't even realize they're mistakes. But when you're really in the position of hostess, it bothers you a lot. So today I decided to pick out the worst etiquette mistakes guests make and record this video for you. The first one is a classic, which is showing up without warning. You never will. Drop by someone's house unless you are really, really close to that person. I know that sometimes we want to surprise a friend or a relative, but we need to let the other person have their own space. So whenever you go to someone's house, try to let them know, send a message, call, and check if that person can have you over. This thing about showing up without letting someone know in advance isn't really polite. It's a habit that some people have, and they might think it's normal or even really nice, but it's not well regarded. Especially because you might arrive at the other person's house and they could be having a private moment, not ready to receive you, maybe going through a hard time or just wanting to relax at home. So it's not recommended to show up without notice. Another point is treating the house as if it were your own, so be very careful when you touch things, especially decorations and ornaments that the person has. I know a lot of people have the habit of looking at things with their hands. Sometimes you feel like you need to touch or feel an item to appreciate it or see it up close. Sometimes, for example, you're a fan of home ornaments and you feel like you need to check out the magnifying glass someone has. You want to touch it, but that's not a good idea. Ideally, you should just observe with your eyes. And if you want to mention that something is beautiful, that you found it different, or even that you want to touch it, it's very important to remember to ask the host if it's okay to touch it. And if you notice that the person tells you, look, you can pick it up, but be very careful. It's better to avoid it. So touching other people's things is not a good idea. In fact, this is a habit that many children have. Many children have the habit of touching things, but for an adult or even for a teenager, it's not a good idea to take things without asking, without permission, and really avoid taking things. If you have a child who has the habit of touching other people's things a lot, when you're visiting, it's important that you teach your child that they should only admire and that they shouldn't touch things or objects without permission. And that often ornaments and decorative pieces are not toys, okay? This needs to be taught by the parents. Juliana, what if I'm with a child who keeps touching my ornaments? I'm getting into this part about the host because I get a lot of questions about this. If you see it, right, and sometimes the parent responsible for the child isn't nearby, it's a good idea for you to mention, look, this piece belongs to Auntie. Auntie is very fond of this piece. Shall we leave it here? So you can, yes, take it from the child's hand, always politely, always kindly, treating the child gently without making a fuss about the situation, okay? It's natural for children to want to touch our things, but we need to be a little flexible, okay? So for example, here at my house, there was a time when a child came and broke a decorative necklace I had on my coffee table. It happens, so it's also good for us as good hosts to understand the profile of our guests. And if that guest, that couple of friends has children, these things can happen, but you can definitely handle the situation and get through it in a kinder way. Always remember to warn the child in a polite way, okay? That way you won't end up in a bad situation with the parents or guardians of that child. The third point I wanted to talk to you about is respecting the house rules. This point about decorations is also a way of showing respect, but there are practices that are unique to each household. And here we can give several examples, and a very clear one is households where people don't enter with shoes on. So if you notice that in that house, people don't have the habit of entering with shoes on, you need to respect that situation and take off your shoes. It's a good idea to take them off even before the host asks, or even before you ask the host if it's necessary to remove your shoes. When you arrive at someone's house and see some shoes at the door or a shoe rack where many people put their shoes, just go ahead and take off your shoes to fit in with the environment and respect the protocol of that home. So it's extremely important that we follow the rules of that house. For example, if the house has the habit of keeping the dogs in a certain area, you as a pet lover shouldn't just go and let the dogs out without asking for permission, ignoring the homeowners. So always respect the house protocols. Another thing is overstaying your welcome, staying too long at someone's house. When you're going to stay at someone's place, it's important to make it very clear how long you'll be staying. So for example, if it's going to be a weekend, you need to limit yourself to just the weekend. If it's going to be a week, that also needs to be discussed with the host. There are some people who end up extending their stay at someone's house as if it were a hotel, and that makes the host completely uncomfortable because when you host someone, the whole dynamic of the house changes to welcome you. It's important that this time is very clear between the host and the guest. Did something happen? Do you need to extend your stay? Evaluate if it wouldn't be better to stay at someone else's house to give that host a break, or if it's better to look for another place for you to stay. Talk to the host, see what the best way is, always showing that you care and are grateful for the opportunity the person gave you to stay. Now, in the case of visits, for example, if you went to someone's house for a party or a gathering, it's important for you to notice the right moment to leave. So if you notice that the guests have started to tidy up the house, they started yawning, kind of not really keeping the conversation going with you, and they look bored. They start mentioning that they have to work the next day, that their child doesn't sleep through the night, and that the child will wake up several times during the night. Notice the signs to understand when it's time to leave. Just as there are people who like to extend gatherings, there are people who prefer the reception to be shorter with a set duration. So you can notice this through these signs. When the person starts clearing the dishes a lot, you see they're tidying up the house when they turn down the volume of the music, or at a party when the band stops playing, the music ends, or the lights are turned on in the hall, signaling that things are wrapping up. When the host runs out of things to talk about or ends the conversation, that's also a sign. So that's when it's time for you to leave. Leaving a mess and not offering to help isn't nice either. You don't need to clean the person's house, but for example, did you just finish lunch? Ask where you can leave your plate. If you notice that the hostess started picking up some things, help her out. You should never overstep the hostess. So if she tells you, oh, you don't need to help me, it's fine, just leave it, then respect that. If you notice the hostess is a bit nervous or has some things going on, for example, at a party, and it's hard for her to organize something, offer to help. Call her and say, hey, Maria, what can I do to help you? Is there anything I can contribute? It's very nice to show and offer help to someone, but also know your place. Don't keep insisting when the person tells you that you don't need to worry. Another thing is leaving a mess, especially when it comes to staying at someone's place. If you're staying at someone's house, the least you can do is make your bed and tidy up the space where you sleep. So if you sleep, for example, in the living room, you need to leave the living room livable so the household can use it during the day. If you're staying in a bedroom, it's essential that your room is organized. The bathroom too, right? Leaving everything messy isn't a good idea. And speaking of some of the most common mistakes I see, even on Instagram at Etiquette and Protocol, this question always comes up through question boxes. Here on the channel too, a lot of people always bring it up. This question always comes up here. It's about the situation of a guest who always brings someone without letting you know. So when you're a guest, you can't bring someone else without letting them know. So if you were the guest, you need to make sure even which members of your family were invited to that event with you, because there may be events that are just for women, events for men, events just for children, family events. So make sure, and when it's a case of confirming, for example, your family, you need to be very sure that your children are going to participate in that event, in that gathering, and this needs to be agreed upon with the host. You should never show up at an event with extra people. It's that typical saying, a guest doesn't invite. So be very careful. Don't do that. Don't make that mistake. And whenever you receive an invitation and you're unsure about who was invited, like, were my children invited to this party? Make sure, because it could be an adults only event or an event for the whole family. So don't forget to confirm. And even in the case, for example, if you have 2 children, was the whole family invited? Were all the children invited or just one? So it's always a good idea to make sure, okay? And never bring extra people without letting them know. Another thing is using the bathroom and not leaving it clean, right? So, for example, leaving toilet paper on the floor, leaving the faucet running, leaving the bathroom sink really wet, leaving the hand towel on the floor or just thrown anywhere, leaving the soap out of the soap dish. So remember to take care of the space your host offers you. And I wanted to ask you something. As a good guest here on the channel, have you already subscribed? Have you already subscribed to the Etiquette and Protocol channel? Have you already liked this video? Your like helps a lot. It contributes to our channel reaching more people. So if you haven't liked it yet, go ahead and like it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Speaking loudly and discussing controversial topics also won't be appropriate there for the guest, right? So, for example, if you arrive at a reception, a party, or an event, and you don't know many people, you see that the group is very mixed, or you're approaching those people for the first time, avoid certain topics like politics, religion, or subjects that could create divisions, right? Topics that can bring up 2 sides, right? So, for example, soccer, be very careful. If you're a very passionate fan, be careful when bringing up this topic too, because there may be others. Just like you, there may be others as well. They are also fanatics, but they're from the rival team in your city. So be careful when bringing up controversial topics. A good guest always adds to the event, so they always participate and bring interesting topics to the conversation circle. He fills the space in a way that he can turn that environment into a more pleasant one. Stay the whole time. Being on your phone is a very common mistake. A lot of people have this habit. People often sit at a table, leave their phone there, and then check it all the time. They keep picking up their phone to check Instagram, to look at WhatsApp. So be very careful with this. If you want to post a photo, if you want to record something, just do it. Leave it there for that moment and then put your phone away. It's important that you value the invitation you received, participate in the reception, and show that. Make it clear to people. Nowadays, we have a bit of trouble expressing to people how we really feel and also thanking people, even if it's not verbally. You don't have to, for example, say, thank you very much to show your gratitude. Just by being a guest who participates, who interacts, who adds to the atmosphere, that's already a way of saying thank you. That's already a way of showing that you want to be there, that you enjoy being there, and people notice that. Just like you notice it, other people notice it too. And if you're looking for a way to be a more pleasant, more charismatic person with a positive personal image, I invite you to join my etiquette and good manners training. A training that has already been taken by thousands of people around the world, where you will learn everything about nonverbal communication, posture, elegance, personal image projection, table etiquette, and much more. This includes electronic etiquette, so you should avoid using your phone excessively. You will learn how to deal with social media, as there is a module that talks only about this topic. Another thing we should also avoid is invading someone's space of the environments we're in, especially when it's a reception at someone's house. You shouldn't go exploring the person's house. So in a house, we always have social areas and private areas. The private area is the bedroom, sometimes the person's office, and the social area is where the event takes place. So sometimes it's a balcony, a backyard, the living room. Sometimes it can be the living room integrated with the kitchen. And sometimes the event can also happen inside the kitchen. Since nowadays things are very integrated, that's the social area. The area that the host sets aside for the guests is the area where you should be. You should only go into private areas if the host invites you, okay? And in most cases, the host might not even invite you to see their house. That's totally normal, okay? So, for example, I get a lot of visitors at my house, and I rarely have people who go into my private areas like my bedroom or my office. Most of the time, they just stay out here. In this part of the living room, it's actually the area I used to record my videos. Giving compliments is another important thing to pay attention to. It's very pleasant to receive compliments. So, like, you say the food is delicious or you say the person's house is beautiful. But we have to notice how we give these compliments. Exaggerating when giving a compliment is not a good idea. It's not positive. It seems like you're trying to suck up to the person, and then they might end up interpreting you in a negative way. And also be very careful when you give compliments that involve money. So, for example, wow, this room must have been really expensive. The floor in your house must have cost a lot. Wow, what a wonderful painting. It must have been insanely expensive, right? So, be very careful with the tone of your compliment and how you make and deliver that comment. Ignoring other guests is also something that is extremely impolite. So, for example, if you're there in a group, there are several people. Be careful not to just talk to the host or to the people you feel closest to. If you're in a place where you don't know many people, try to move around, talk to them, and talk to other people as well. This is really good even for your social circle. Meeting new people truly opens new doors. This can create new opportunities for you, both personally, like making new friends, going to more events, meeting a new love, or even professional opportunities where you end up talking to someone and that expands your network with other people. And that also affects your professional life. So don't just talk to a few people. Take the opportunity to talk to others and expand your network. Don't just keep talking to the same people. That's also a very common mistake for a hostess. So there are many hostesses who have this habit of just talking to one person or another and not paying attention to the guests. This is also a mistake that falls on the hostesses. And you might even ask me, wow, Juliana, I really wanted to see a video about hostess mistakes. Now that I know a little more about being a guest, how can I be a better hostess and welcome people in a more elegant and polite way? I've already made a video here on the channel, and I'll leave it here on the side for you to watch next. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back soon with more updates. Below, there's also a link for you to sign up for my course, and here on the side in the quick response code. I'll see you in my etiquette and good manners training. See you soon.